Good afternoon. This is your soil science lab preview. If you need some tools from home, this is a trowel. It's like a small shovel. You're gonna need one of those. Wax paper. We have some in class, but not enough. Plastic bags, sandwich baggies, or others. Either are fine. When you go get your dirt, you're gonna stick your trowel down about 4 to 5 inches. You're gonna dig out a round piece of dirt. We're gonna use augers, but if we don't have augers enough for everybody, then we'll just have to use our trowels. You're gonna scoop out the dirt into something clean. The plastic bag is what I use at school. This is from my garden, and you can see it's wet. It has to dry overnight in a flat container. This is soil that's already been dried. You cannot bake it or heat it to dry it. All the large organic matter has been removed, and I have not touched that with my hands at all. Okay? All right. The first test we're going to do is we're going to check the potassium levels of the soil. So there are these test tubes that are provided in the kit, and I've labeled them appropriately. K1 for potassium 1 and K2 for potassium 2. You will have a China pen or a vis-a-vis marker to mark your levels on your test tube. It says select a graduated test tube, and you're going to fill to line 7. They have marked lines, so I'm going to mark line 7 because that's where I want to fill to. These caps need to be, you can't twist them off. You have to get your fingernail under it and slowly work it off by kind of wiggling it, like so. Always put the caps top side down like that. When you open these, flip them open, and you're going to align the spout with the inside of your test tube. You're going to make sure you can look at where it lines up. I'm getting a nice even flow. As it gets closer to the top, I'm letting it go drop by drop. And we're done. Always cap. Put spouts down immediately after finishing that. You're going to keep this stable while you get, it says using the 5-gram measuring spoon, the one with the black writing on it, and add 4 measures of the soil sample. So I'm going to get 4 scoops of my soil sample and put it in this test tube. Notice I'm not touching with my hands. There's 1. Here's 2. 3. And 4. You have to get about 4 or 5 teaspoons of soil to have enough soil to do all your work. After your soil is inserted, you of course need to put your cap back on. Shake vigorously for 1 minute. Okay. We're going to have some sort of timer. This is the soil phosphorus test. We label our test tubes P1 and P2. And we mark where things need to be. Line 6 for the first one. Line 3 for the second. Okay. They're kind of a booger to get off. Right. Here we have our test tube, cap, top side down, and then we need up to line 6 with our phosphorus extracting solution. 3 scoops. Remember, you don't want to touch the dirt, the soil. 1. 2. 3. It says gently shake. Whenever it says gently shake, you're going to firmly hold the top and you're going to flick it on the bottom. It creates a vortex inside the test tube that mixes everything quite nicely. We need to do this for 1 minute. As you can see, it's settling out. This is our phosphorus one. We have to wait till everything's settled. I'm going to set that aside. Okay, looking at our instructions, we can't do anything else with that until that's all settled. Okay, now we're going to finish up our potash or potassium. Here's our K2, all ready to go, labeled, and we're stopping at 5. You're going to have to gently pipette, that means use a dropper to get fluid out, from K1 to K2, and you're going to have to work these caps off. Remember, top side down. Kind of get your fingernails under and kind of lift and wiggle like a loose tooth. There we go. Alright. I want to make sure I'm looking at what I'm doing. I'll try not to obstruct your view as best I can. Can you see the 5 line?
I think so.
When you use a pipette, you're going to squeeze before you stick it in. When you stick it in, see how there's floaty stuff on the top? You're going to stick it in below that. Okay, about halfway down, and you're going to slowly let up on that bulb. Very slowly. Once it's done, you're going to put whatever you aspirated, whatever you pipetted into this tube. And squeeze all the way out, and then again, I'm going to stick this down below the water line, not to the bottom, but about halfway, and slowly let everything get sucked up. And again, put it into the tube. Now, should you not have enough to get to line 5, you'll have to do this filtration step, this extracting step, twice. So, squeeze out, put it down. See, I went a little fast that time. Things started to get agitated on the bottom. You don't want the bottom stuff to get agitated and end up in your filtrate. Almost there. We might just barely make it. At this point, since I'm very close to the bottom, I'm putting it at the surface of the liquid and being very careful with how I draw it up. Don't let any chunks get in your second test tube. Just gently wipe them off on the top. And I'm actually going to have to tilt this. Barely there. Yeah, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to have to do this step twice. Alright, I finished my second set of K1. And I was able to get enough to top off my K2. So now I can keep going, and I need to put in a potassium indicator tablet. And to do that, you're not going to touch them. You're going to use forceps, not tweezers, forceps. All right. Wiggle that top off. There's a foam piece. Take it out with forceps. Don't touch anything that you don't have to. It goes in the lid, like so. You're going to kind of wiggle down, just kind of shake them out, and you're going to get one tablet, drop it in, forceps. Get your phone, put your phone back in. The foam protects the tablets as well as you and I from that stuff getting powdered and us breathing in it. Okay, we've got our tablet. And I think we need to put some of...
Cap and shake, and then you do the indicator.
So we need to shake this until it dissolves. Make sure that cap is on tight, otherwise the fluids will leak. And just flick it till it's all gone. Just like this. Hold the top firmly and keep on flicking. You're going to need to take turns as a team because this will get tiring. Okay, so this part for potassium or potash is actually called a titration. So this is what it looks like before. It's slightly purple. Okay, and what it looks like after is it's gonna be this blue color. Okay, and the way titrations work is it changes the color based on the acid or base in the solution and in your titrant. Okay, top down, and in the directions it says 2 drops at a time, swirling the test tube between each 2 drops. Swirling means you hold firmly at the top and you flick it to get that vortex going inside. All right. One, two. Now I don't know if you can see it, but I can already see a blue color forming, and that may, once it mixes all the way through, I'll be able to tell because it'll either be all blue or they'll be purple and blue. Right now you can see some purple and some blue. You see that? Okay. So I'm going to keep mixing until all the colors are homogeneous. Right. So looking at this, and this is from the lawn on campus. It only took 2 drops to turn from purple. Remember, it was a very light shade of purple to blue. This is what blue looks like on the card. This is what blue looks like in real life. It's one of those situations, remember, we had red litmus and blue litmus. The red litmus was pink. It's a very light shade of blue, but nonetheless, there you go. Right. Then you just look at the instructions and it tells you, okay, if you had less than 10 drops, you have a very high potassium level, very high potash. You don't need to add any. If you have 10 drops even, it's high. 12 drops, it's medium high, so on and so forth. All right, we're finishing up our phosphorus test, and this is the color chart. Right? The colors are very subtle, so you're going to have to match them up directly behind. I'm filling up to line 3. Can you see that? Good. Alright, I'm using a fresh, new, clean pipette to do this. Again, I squeeze the bulb before, stick it in below the water line about halfway down, and then slowly let the fluid up. Anything that's stuck on the outside, I will scrape off after. If you get this on your hands, any of these fluids on your hands, you don't need to panic. You just need to go wash your hands. Some of them can sting a little bit. You need to concentrate on what you're doing and not mess it up because you are sharing your data with other classes. Right, almost there. I actually need to look a little closer. I'm going to put this to the side. And go drop by drop. There we go. Any excess, just put back into the first tube. Before you put your tablet in, you need to make sure to add 6 drops of this solution. And be careful, comes out kind of fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. I was really watching how hard I was squeezing. Okay, the last tablets were purple. These ones are yellow, a pale yellow. So yellow tablets, phosphorus, purple tablets, potassium. Drop one in. I put my tablet in, the yellow one, and I need to hold it really tight, and I'm going to mix it to make sure. And see, right away you can get I got a pretty strong color change. Alright, so here the tablet is completely dissolved, and you can obviously see this is very fertile soil. It is as dark or darker than the high setting on this little card. So that is very obvious. This is very phosphorus rich soil. All your test tubes need to be cleaned at this point. You should have 4 dirties at this point. Maybe you have more, and you're gonna have to clean them. So make sure you put the test tube in the test tube holder. You're gonna squirt out. You're gonna dump everything into the sink. So all the fluid goes in the sink. And put the test tube cap top down. You're going to rinse 3 times in the sink. Rinse and dump. Rinse and dump in the sink. And then you're going to rinse 3 times again with distilled water. Outside and in. There's once on the out. Once in and out. Twice in and out. 3 times in and out. And this was all with distilled water, and that's going to be a little more powerful than just your sink water. You're going to set your test tubes down to dry on a clean piece of paper towel. I have a cloth down, so I'm just going to set it right there. You're going to clean the caps as well. In and out 3 times. 2. And my last one. When you set these out to dry, you're going to set them top down so that the inside dries out. You're not going to stick paper towel or anything else in there. You can flick these, so you can hold them firmly and kind of flick the water out, but you're not going to stick anything inside them because you don't want to contaminate with whatever's on that paper towel. Okay, most of them have indicators or acids and bases that help it smell better. Right? You're going to repeat that with all the test tubes you have. Okay, so we're in the 3rd stage of our project, and this is nitrogen. This is this is pH. I don't want that yet. The powder goes with nitrogen. But pH, we've studied before with cabbage juice and some other indicators. The indicator that turns the most colors is related to this. This is based on cabbage juice. And you can see the purple down to the green are the colors we're looking for. So I'll put that right there for you. Just like the last ones, you're going to want to get a clean test tube, and we made sure to clean all our test tubes, to clean the scoops, to clean the pipettes. With pipettes, you're going to I wanted to show you this as well. I put some distilled water in here. What you do is you just get some distilled water in a beaker, and you squirt it out from a clean source of water, and then you squirt it into a source of dirty water. That's how you'll do that. You always want to make sure you clean your scoops in between soil samples as far as going from one type of soil to another. Alright, so pH. We're going to select a graduated test tube, which we have. Wheel that top off, top down. Make sure we get our pen. Indicator to line 4. Excellent. Line 4, there we go. This is pH. You'll probably have a grease pen, and when you clean these with a grease pen, you're going to have to rub all that ink off, or that grease. So moving forward, alright. So we need to fill it with this up to line 4. And then, after that, we will add our soil sample. So of course, make sure to Do this carefully so we get the right amount. There we go. We're going to add 3 measures of the 0.5 gram scoop. Again, don't touch any of the dirt. Scoop. You can kind of tap it down if you want to get it kind of more packed in there. You're going to have to tap gently, otherwise you'll tap the dirt right on out of there. There's 1. There's 2. And here is 3. These kits are made to be used out in the field, so that's why they're pretty simple. They're supposed to be foolproof and easy to use. Alright. Cap and shake the test tube gently for 1 minute. You want to make sure you shake all the dirt in there. You want to keep your finger firmly on that top so the fluid doesn't leak out. If it does leak out a little bit, that's okay. You'll just wash your hands. Okay. Alright, so we shake this and we're going to kind of just rinse the sides down with the materials so that we can get a clean look. It's settling out pretty quickly, and this is very, very obviously basic soil. You can see the purple is almost so dark it's hard to see the soil separating at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it, but the soil is actually below the 3 line, and the purple is above that. And if I put the purple behind it, the purple pretty much disappears because it's the same color. That is a basic soil. If it's between 2 colors, it's a half mark. So it's between this yellow and this green, it'd be 4.5. If it's between this green and this green, it'd be 5.5. So just want to let you know that, but that is definitely an 8. And we'll move on to the next one. Alright, so now we're doing nitrogen. I of course labeled my test tubes, N1 for my first nitrogen, and the level that I'm going to fill it up to. I'm going to fill it up to 7. And then here we have my N2. And I'm going to fill it up to the 3 line. And one of the reasons why we mark these, and you can see it on here, is these are old, and so the numbers are really hard to see. Okay? I'm going to put those on a flat surface. Starting out with my N1, I need to carefully not add the pH. I need the nitrogen. So make sure you have the right reagents in front of you. Here's the nitrogen extracting material, and here's the actual indicator. Right. You really want to be right on that line. Remember what I taught you about meniscus in the beginning of the year. Okay, looking forward. So next, you need to take the 0.5 scoop again and add 2 scoops. It's pretty simple when it comes to that piece of it. You're going to want to make sure you add your soil after you add the liquid, because if you add it before, the soil cakes down at the bottom and is really hard to mix. Right? Make sure you push that on really tight, and then you're going to shake it for a minute. Okay, shaking for a minute. Alright, so here's our nitrogen. Here's our original. You can see that the soil has filtrated down to the bottom. There's some little organic or formerly living materials at the top, but we're going to slide our way past those. And we're going to again fill down up to the line 3 with our nitrogen filtrate. Remember, squeeze the pipette before you enter the test tube. Put it past the beginning part. The water starts. Slowly aspirate, that means to suck up. And then keep going. Again, you want to go down past the beginning of the water. Slowly aspirate. I'm going to scrape that stuff off before I stick it in the other tube. I don't want it there. I'm turning the purple away from you because I'm trying to see more carefully. I don't want to put too much in because it's really shouldn't take anything out once you've overfilled it. But if it happens, you can do it. Just be really careful, because that could be a big deal with experimental error. And since you're all using each other's results, that would definitely be a bad thing. Okay, cap whatever you're not using so it doesn't spill. And there we go, we filled it up to line 3. Then we need to take this, and you have another measuring spoon that looks like this. It should have some red writing on it, but you can also see, I don't think you can see it with the camera, but up here it says 0.25 grams, and that's the one you need. So I'm actually going to set this down so I don't spill it as I get this out. Alright, I need 2 measures. Even though 2 measures of 0.25 is the same as 0.5 grams, you're going to use this because this is clean. That one you've been scooping soil with all day. Kind of tap it down to make sure you've got an even scoop. And then just drop that stuff in there. Okay. With all of these things, they're all light sensitive and they're also heat sensitive, so they need to be put away as soon as possible. That's also why any of the tablets, they have foam in them to keep them from being agitated, because if that happens, they become unusable. Alright, so we cap this second test tube, and I have to shake this for 5 minutes. So you're going to take turns as team members. Don't just stick somebody else with it. You need, everyone gets a 1-minute turn, and it comes back to the last person, and they get another 1-minute turn. You're going to flick it like this, which is much, much better than shaking it, and is a little easier on the individual. So there we go, 5 minutes later, check in with you. Alright, so this is the nitrogen test, and we've shaken it and let it settle. And you can see there's a slight, very, very slight pink. So it would go with this low one right here, and if you put it behind it, you can kind of see that. If I turn this card around and show you the white, you can see the pink a little more clearly. This is a really nitrogen-deprived soil, so we would have to introduce some sources of nitrogen to really get that going. But you, ladies and gentlemen, are just assessing the chemical contents in the soil for now. Okay, that would finish this up.